Yeah, so today we have our Q&A, as we have now every Tuesday. So since last time we got a few questions, not an overwhelming amount. In one sense that's good, because then we don't need to stress to run through a whole bunch of questions. Instead we can try and ponder on the few questions we have a little bit deeper, hopefully, so that we may learn something. Yeah, so without further ado, we just dive right into it. And welcome to Christopher Prabhu on Zoom.
Thank you.
Hi, well. So the question I got, it was self-discipline. Is it anything about self-discipline in the texts? Yeah. So we have something about self-discipline in the text. Not just something, actually. There is a whole lot of most of our books actually talking about self-discipline directly or indirectly. Starting with the Bhagavad Gita itself, talks about yama and niyama, which are the two main components of the self-discipline that's required to do yoga practice. So now we're talking, about the actual mystical yoga, not yoga just for maintaining bodily health. That's actually just hatha yoga. But the self-discipline required for Ashtanga yoga or the yoga which is progressing all the way up to liberation or samadhi, that requires to follow yama and niyama. So that is also mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which usually is our go-to book, because Srimad Bhagavatam is dealing directly with bhakti, while the yoga book called Patanjali Yoga Sutra, it also mentions bhakti as one of the components of the yoga practice, but not much more than that. It's mainly talking about the technicalities of yoga. So that's why we will refer to Bhagavatam when we talk about actually these principles of self-discipline, rather than talking from the Yoga Sutra. But exactly the same that we have in Bhagavatam is also in Yoga Sutra anyway. So in that way, it does not only apply to bhakti, it also applies to yoga or spirituality in general. Excuse me. So I also have to practice a little bit self-discipline today because I'm a little bit sick. But with your blessings, I hope we can survive this short stream. Okay, so we have a section from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, text 11. Canto 11, chapter 19, text 28 until 32. I'll paste it in so you can see it on YouTube. So let's see here. Yeah.
Is it the Bali Maharaj surrenders?
It's Canto 11, chapter 19, the perfection of spiritual knowledge. Yeah.
11, 19, 22?
11, 19, 28.
Oh, okay.
Dash 32. So it's like 4 verses. Yeah. So this is actually exactly the question which we were asked, actually. So there Krishna says, he's asked, Uddhava says, Uddhava is Krishna's friend. So if you see the thumbnail which we have used now today for our stream, that is actually a picture of Uddhava talking to Krishna there. Because that's actually what's happening here. So Uddhava said, "My dear Lord Krishna, O chastiser of the enemies, please tell me how many types of disciplinary regulations and regular daily duties there are." Yeah. So that's basically yama and niyama, actually. Yama means, you can say, rules, and in niyama you can say means regulations. Yeah, do's and don'ts. Don'ts and do's. Yeah. And then also, my Lord, tell me what is mental equilibrium, what is self-control, and what is the actual meaning of tolerance and steadfastness. What are charity, austerities, and heroism, and how are reality and truth to be described? What is renunciation and what is wealth? What is desirable, what is sacrifice, and what is religious remuneration? Actually, it's asking a lot of things. I will not go through all these questions because we will only deal with the first, where it talks about discipline, because that was the question. So I'm not have too big a scope of reading here. So because he's answering in a lot of verses, we'll just take the first verse with answer. 2 first verses. Yeah. So Krishna is saying, So here I'll copy paste Krishna's answer. Yeah. So Krishna is saying, Shri Bhagavan Vacha Ahimsa Satyamasteyam Asangurir Asanchaya Astikyam Brahmacharyam Cha Maunam Staryam Kshama Bhayam Saucham Japastat Pohamaha Shraddhatityam Madarchanam Tirtathanam Parartheha Tushtira Sevanam Etiyama Saniyama Ubayor Dvadasha Smritaha Pumsam Upasitastata Yata Kamam Duhantihi. Beautiful verse by Krishna there. And the translation goes as follows. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, non-violence, truthfulness, not coveting or stealing the property of others, detachment, humility, freedom from possessiveness, trust in the principles of religion, celibacy, silence, steadiness, forgiveness, and fearlessness are the 12 primary disciplinary principles. Internal cleanliness, so these were the 12, which is primarily disciplinary principles. Yeah. And then we come to the other part, which are also 12. Internal cleanliness, external cleanliness, chanting the whole names of the Lord, austerity, sacrifice, faith, hospitality, worship of me, visiting holy places, acting and desiring only for the supreme interest, satisfaction and service to the spiritual master are the 12 elements of regular prescribed duties. So these are the do's, stuff that we should do, and the other ones, the 12 first, are the don'ts, right? Yeah, so these 24, yeah?
No, first, was it exactly, I don't think it was exactly don'ts.
Well, it's sometimes you can call them that, I mean in English anyway. You call it yamas. So it means, don't do violence, don't speak untruth, I mean anyway.
Okay.
You can call them whatever you like, but anyway, they are kind of different. So I mean, the second part are like more kind of stuff that you do, and not kind of, like rules, if you understand what I mean.
Right.
Regulations, yeah.
Principles, then
Yeah.
it's like practice.
Yeah, so they're called niyamas. It means that one should, chant the whole names of the Lord and stuff like that. Yeah. So Krishna says here, ete yama saniyama. So these are exactly the same, principles which you have in the Ashtanga Yoga outlined by Patanjali in the Yoga Sutra. So these are basically, yogic principles for all living entities, no matter what kind of, spiritual, I mean, obviously these are for the Asiatic paths, including Buddhism. Yeah, but of course, if you go to the West also, you find, similar principles, you just have different names. Pretty obvious. These are human principles, basically. So we can go through them. So because the question was, is it written anything about the scriptures about self-discipline? And the answer is yes. And here is something directly from the mouth of Krishna himself, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that should suffice, I hope. So, and the point is, as I try to make also, it's not only here in the Bhagavatam, in this section it's mentioned. You have exactly the same mentioned in Ashtanga Yoga, scriptures like Patanjali, Yoga Sutra, and you have them also in Mahabharata. You have them in the Gita itself also reflected. Everywhere, the same principles are just coming. So the basic one is, ahimsa. So ahimsa means non-violence. So, and of course then it means also not to be violent, in speech. It's said, the principles of ahimsa is to be not violent in 3 levels: in physically, mentally, and also in the speech, like that. And then satyam, that's very easy. That's just to speak the truth, not lie. And asteya means to steal, so not stealing. Asanga, so that means here to be detached. And rir, it means to be. Here it means to be humble, yeah, and then asanchaya, freedom from possessiveness. Do not think that I own this and I own that. Astikyam, and trust in the principles of religion. Yeah, astik means to be religious, and nastik means to be not religious. So it said that a Buddhist, for example, is called nastik in the Vedic terminology. That means they don't accept Vedas. Those who accept Vedas are astik. Yeah. And then celibacy, brahmacharya, and silence, that means mona. You probably heard about mona vrata. For example, there is this very popular thing that people are going to, what's that called again? I forgot, but I met many people who went to that. They're going to some place in some ashram, and they have the vow to be silent for 1 week. You heard about that? This is what people are doing. Oh, yeah. Oh, you're quick, Mariana. Thanks for chiming in. Vipassana, exactly. Yeah, so that's a big thing, Mauna. And many people are saying, this is they get great realizations, from being silent and stuff like that. Yeah. So, but of course, Prabhupada, he immediately counteracted that by saying, to be silent, it means to not talk about anything else than, what is what is conducive for Krishna consciousness. So you can talk about your grandmother, no problem, as long as it is going in the direction for Krishna consciousness. That is the same as silence, okay? So in that way, the devotees, they are more free. They don't need to hang in upside down, in the tree or something like that. They have a little bit more freedom than these, tapasvis. Yeah, just saying. So anyway, so then you have steadiness. That's called stairya. Stita dir buddhi is also said in Bhagavad Gita. Is it okay to drink coffee? Well, there are actually different. I heard that some other Vaishnava groups, they can drink coffee. I mean, basically, caffeine is giving you a kick. I wouldn't advise to drink coffee in the evening because you kind of fall to sleep very easily. Some are drinking in the morning. I mean, Prabhupada said we should not drink coffee in the Hare Krishna movement, so I'm not drinking it. Yeah, I don't know if that is an answer for you. It depends which guru you have. Yeah, if you want to be in the Hare Krishna movement, I guess you know. Yeah, okay, thumbs up. Because there are actually other Vaishnava groups who drink coffee. I've heard that. Anyway, and then you have Kshama. So that means forgiveness. That's very important. Yeah. Abhaya. Abhaya means to be fearless. We know that Prabhupada was called AC. You know what AC stands for? Abhay Charan. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So it means fearless lotus feet. Yeah.
That was his given name, wasn't it? From his parents.
Yeah. Okay, so Mariana is saying, and now that I live outside, I get cravings. So you get cravings from coffee. Have you tried to drink, this decaf coffee? I tried one time. It's very nice. I mean, I never had craving for coffee. I never drank coffee even before coming to Krishna consciousness. So I don't know how it means, but I hope if you drink this, it's actually exactly the same as normal coffee. They just remove the caffeine. Maybe that will work. Yeah. Okay. So yeah.
It is really something difficult, if you're accustomed to something like coffee, right? It's about austerity, I think, is the main principle dealing with this. No intoxication is austerity. Yeah. I mean, for some, it's a great austerity. It depends who you are. Somebody are more challenged in one of the other principles. So basically, these principles are meant to keep us in line, so that we will have space at the end of the day to actually learn something about Krishna, to think about Krishna, practice, the Bhakti Yoga process. If you are getting into drugs and all this stuff, we will maybe, completely get lost. So anyway, what was the next one? I guess I also want to give the blessing that whatever you do, you can do it for Krishna. He also advises that.
Yeah. I mean, it's a popular thing in India. I mean, Prabhupada was blasting, sometimes some of these, they say, you can do everything, and you just do everything for God. Prabhupada didn't agree about that. He said, no, you should follow the rules, he said.
Yes, it's a little difficult, but, it's essentially not meant to open the doors to everything, but it's essentially, I'm having so hard time getting this up, that, we can arrange some setting where you make an offering, with Krishna. And eventually
yeah. I mean, the point is you shouldn't get too much, you shouldn't torture yourself with all this stuff. It's just guidelines to help us. That's the meaning of it, yeah. So we're not supposed to sit and whip ourselves. That's not the point here. These are just basic principles of self-control. I mean, they're spoken by Krishna, so it's obviously his opinion. What can we do, So and then fearlessness. So that means not to be scared all the time. You have some trust in that Paramatma is in our heart. God is in everybody's heart. He is arranging. He's not a sadist. He actually wants our welfare. then we can be fearless. So these are primarily this. So this last one, fearlessness. Actually, all of these are mental disciplines, right? It's like inside. We are, you know, and these other ones, they are more like external, but there are also a few internal here also. So the other 12, internal cleanliness. So that's called shaucham. So that means, you know, basically taking a shower. Okay.
That's external, isn't it?
Oh, sorry. Oh, what I'm saying. This says shaucham. Oh, now I see what Prabhupada did the thing here. In the Sanskrit, it only says shaucham, but Prabhupada, he divided them into two. Actually, probably because the commentary says so, there are 12 of each. So that means shaucham is covering for two principles, internal and external cleanliness. Now I see what he did there. Yeah. And then, you know, chanting whole names Lord, like that japa. And tapa, that's austerity, like just general. So we can give one example. So austerity is to you know, to sacrifice something for something higher. So for example, there is a Sunday feast. Okay, so then I do the tapasya, then I drop everything else and I go to the temple to worship the Lord, you know, in the temple. That's easy, you can say tapasya, or it can be difficult also. But it's tapasya means actually you have to bite your teeth a little bit and suffer a little. It's voluntary suffer for something higher. And for example, on Janmashtami, last time it's advised, you know, one should fast, not eat anything on Janmashtami. Yeah. But then, you know, there are different levels of tapasya. You can take some fruit or some, just like on the Kadashi. Or some die-hard followers, they were even not drinking, you know. Yeah. So that's different levels of tapasya. Yeah, so these are one of the principles that some or other we should do that. And then sacrifice, that's called, you know, a yagya. Now homa is called here. So homa is actually more specific. Sometimes we say yagya is, you know, you sacrifice your time, you know, this was a sacrifice, you know, we went out, we did some dugnad, you know. Sometimes we call that a yagya. Like all the devotees in Oslo temple, they were going together and they were, you know, upgrading the temple, yeah. Restoring the temple. Is that called restoration? Yeah. They painted the walls and like that. That's a yagya. But actually here it's more directly, it says homa, and homa means directly actually fire sacrifice. So it looks like we have to start doing some fire sacrifices.
What, like arti or?
Well, actually homa means actually to sit, you know, and have the fire sacrifice. But of course these are way back in the time when people were doing that. It said that for the householders back in the day, they should do one homa every day in the morning. I mean, it means you put up some bricks, and you have some ghee, and you have a few sticks like that, which you put up, like a tent. You know, you put the sticks, and then you're putting the fire. You pour the ghee, and then you're lighting the fire, and then you say mantras, and you offer, you know, ghee for each mantra you're saying. You're offering the ghee like that, and yeah.
Yeah, we need to get some ghee and then some fireplace.
Yeah. So, but you know, times have changed. You know, some of these are not really practical to do. So in that way, at the end of the day, Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita, if you remember, he says, "Sarva dharma parityajya." Just give up all this dharma and surrender unto me. Actually, he's going to say the same to Uddhava in the Uddhava Gita, because Uddhava Gita is just an expansion of the Bhagavad Gita. Actually, there's one place where Prabhupada is saying actually that Uddhava Gita is an expansion of the Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, Uddhava Gita is more important than the Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada said himself. I think it was in the class or something. I remember reading that. I was completely, you know, my hair was going backwards, even though I didn't have much hair on my head. Okay. Can you talk about Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojana, and living outside the temple, associating with friends from before joining? Okay, that's the next topic. Thank you for that. So, yeah, we'll just go through this. So, faith is the next one. So that's called Shraddha. And hospitality, that's interesting, Atityam. So that means that if there comes some unexpected person on our door, we should be ready to welcome that person, because that means it's same as Vishnu. Atityo Deva Bhava, he said. And then Mat Archana, Krishna says, worship me. So that means actually directly to have puja, you know, or arti. You know, with you offer incense and lamp and all this by ringing the bell. Yeah. And Tirthanam, that means, you know, going to the holy places. So some of us have gone to, maybe to Vrindavan or Mayapur. But guess what? We have a local tirtha also, and that is the temple. Temple is actually a tirtha. So, you know, just going to the temple, it is actually following this rule by Krishna to worship the holy places. although you can say it's not that as famous a tirtha as, the great holy places in India, but it's still actually the same. Spiritually, it is absolute. So there is actually spiritually no difference between your local temple and, the great tirtha, in India. Of course, now many people will be, very angry at me for saying this. I'm sorry, I'm just repeating, the principles from the Shastra. And Haridas Thakur was of the same opinion, actually. He said, he was asked, by Chaitanya, why don't you go to Vrindavan? He said, no, I don't need, I'm just chanting holy name. And the holy name in itself, I am in Vrindavan just by chanting holy name.
Yeah.
So, okay, so if you don't agree that your local temple is a tirtha, then you should chant the whole name there, and then it will become a tirtha, according to Haridas Thakur. But then, you will say, but I'm not on the level of Haridas Thakur. But then I can say, okay, so then you also don't need to go to India, because you will not see the actual Vrindavan, right? Because the actual Vrindavan is only seen by people of the caliber of Haridas Thakur. So, spiritual life is actually absolute. So it's not there to make our life complicated. Actually, it's actually made to simplify our life. Okay, so next is acting and desiring only for the supreme interest. Yeah, so that is called parartheha. Yeah, parartha. Yeah. Okay, satisfaction. That's a very important one. Tushti. All of them are equally important, by the way. Yeah. And then and service to the spiritual master. That's called acharya sevanam. Oh, that was the last one. Yeah. These are the 12 elements of regular prescribed duties. These 24 elements bestow all desired benedictions upon those persons who devotedly cultivate them. Okay, so then we did that. Now we go to the next question. And that was from Bhaktin Mariana. Can you talk about Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayorjana? Okay, so I'll write them here. Sambandha. Okay, she said, can you talk? Okay, so very nice. So then I don't need to write. I'll say my fingers. So we'll just talk about Sambandha first. Sambandha means, comes from the word bandha. Bandha means to be bound, or it means connections. Or a connection also means relationship. So it means, together. So it has to do with socially. So Sambandha, it means also in another way. It means, for example, you can take mathematics. Yeah. Because these are not only used in spiritual terms, they're used everywhere. So Sambandha of mathematics, then you have to know, the basic multiplication table and 1 and 1. What is the value of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5? That's the Sambandha, right? And then Abhideya, it means higher level. That means practical application. Yeah. So you get that? Sambandha is like theory, okay? Relationships, theory. So that's when we take it in terms of our scriptures, then Sambandha is, the Sambandha book is Bhagavad Gita. That makes it easy for us to remember. Bhagavad Gita is the Sambandha Tattva Jnana. And then Abhideya, that is Srimad Bhagavatam. That's Abhideya Tattva Jnana. So that means, practical, life. I think we all can agree about, Bhagavad Gita is a philosophical book because it's only they're talking, right? They're not actually fighting. I mean, Arjuna, he even put down his bow, right? I think we can agree about that. They are not actually active. They're just talking. They're philosophizing, right? So then after that, you have Abhideya in Mahabharata. After they talk, then they start blowing their conches, and then they actually get out and get their hands dirty and actually act. So that's called Abhideya. And also in Bhagavatam, you have so many stories how people are going through their lives, some or other, trying to be spiritually, connected with Krishna. So that means, our daily practice, Navanga Bhakti, like, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, we're chanting, we're hearing about Vishnu, we're, doing arch, we're doing worship, all this, temple worship, all this is Abhideya, okay? And then Prayorjana, now that means the goal itself. So that means, at that level, you actually don't need the 2 previous ones because you already reached the goal. So in that way you have Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's just dancing in ecstasy. So Prayorjana is represented in our Gaudiya Vaishnavism by the book Chaitanya Charitamrita. Or for that matter, actually all the Gaudiya Vaishnava literature. I mean the Chaitanya literature, you can say, which talks about Chaitanya's Leelas, like Chaitanya Bhagavat, Chaitanya Mangala, Chaitanya Charitamrita. They're all Prayorjana books describing the ecstasy, ecstatic dance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And how he's, exchanging love with his devotees, like that. So this is like the 3 levels. And then, okay, and living outside the temple, associating with friends from before joining. Yeah. So, this is sometimes, quite individual, what are the opinions. So since you are asking me, then I will just give my, raw opinion. So in my opinion, you can associate, with friends from before joining if you like them, if you feel they are nice to you, if they give you something, then that is good association.
Sorry, there was a gap. I missed. What did you say after living outside the temple? I missed it.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, and now I'm just saying my raw opinion. I'm not citing the scriptures yet. So I'm just saying my opinion. In my opinion, if you have good friends, because it's advised in the scriptures. Now back to it's advised that we should surround ourselves with well-wishers. Yeah. For example, it said for a king to thrive, we're all actually kings in our own body. Our body is called, Navadvara Puri. It's like a city of 9 gates. So in that way, in the Bhagavatam, is explained, King Puranjana, he needed to have ministers. He needed to have friends to back him up, so he could thrive in his own kingdom. So all of us, we need friends to be happy. Even kings like Yudhishthir, the Pandavas, it was not that they only had Krishna devotees, in their association. I mean, they had, different, ministers, different Brahmins. Some of the Brahmins were Shiva devotees, It's like, you have all kinds of people around you. It's helping us, we shouldn't live in a vacuum. However, it's said that intimate friends, that one is opening up and sharing one's deepest thoughts or whatever. I mean, there it's advised by Rupa Goswami to be to advancing in bhakti. Then we should rather have as one's extremely near friends. It should be a devotee. I mean, it's pretty obvious. If you actually are a devotee, if you are devotees ourselves, and if we actually want, then of course that will be very close to our heart. But in general, one can have friends who are kind of whatever they are. But of course, we don't want to have friends who are negative, who are dragging us down into the lower modes. So that's of course there. That's advice in Ayurveda, that one shouldn't have friends who they are described actually bad friends which should be avoided. They're described in Ayurveda. These are people who are swearing, who are always like to criticize others, who always like to drag down, laugh at other people's failures. These we shouldn't have as friends. Okay.
But really, Amogha-drikk, we know how to behave like this, right?
Yeah, we do. So it's actually
in response to this, because
yeah.
It is more a question, about determination, right?
It's determination, but it's also, you can say, the point is that we also shouldn't offend other living entities. I mean, I'm just taking an example. Like, say if you join the Hare Krishna movement, and then you kind of what is it called again? You're ghosting, your best friend suddenly just because you joined Hare Krishna. That's not very nice, right? Then your best friend will think you got brainwashed overnight, and maybe he was right even, or she was right? So this is not really a way to do it.
But really, trying to justify anything by material standards will not get very far. We will say, oh yes, this is polite, or no, this is not very nice.
No, I'm just talking about basic human principles, because they are also there. That one shouldn't, we shouldn't offend any living entity. Talk about a spiritualist is also following this basic principle. Like for example, Rupa Goswami is saying, and Rupa Goswami is our leading star, because we are called Rupanugas. So he said, a devotee should be a gentleman to everybody, should not offend any living entity. So in that way, if you had somebody who knew you, and suddenly when you became Hare Krishna, you don't talk with that person, that is kind of odd. And the other person maybe get depressed or whatever, be scared or something. So that's not really gentleman behavior. It's rather, one can just say, I'm sorry, and now I'm just into this spiritual life. Sorry, I may be, taking a deep dive into this stuff, so you may not hear from me again. That, at least something, just to be polite, treat the other person with respect, because everybody is the temple of God. That's the basic teaching. We should, respect everybody as the temple of God. The Paramatma is there in everybody's heart. Okay, so what do you say, Mariana? What about parents and friends who are close? Yeah, Sadachara. It's called Sadachara, actually. Yeah, nice behavior. Yeah. So, okay, what about parents and friends who are close but not favorable and not having close devoted friends yet? Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. I would say it's the same thing as taking care of your bodily health. Sometimes we have to take care of our mental health, not just sometimes. We really have to do that. So in that way, say you don't have any close devotee friends yet. No, you should have then, you know, whatever friends you have, because it's good for our mental health to just have, you know, friends. It's okay, you know. We shouldn't be scared and fanatic. We should see Krishna in everybody. This is how I'm thinking myself. I see everybody as a vehicle for Krishna. So whoever comes in front of me, who I see with my eyes, who I can hear with my ears, who I can sense, I see these people as sent by Krishna. Why else would they appear in my life? This is God's arrangement, obviously. So I should treat them with respect and be grateful for whatever they can contribute. And I should also, you know, try and be nice to them and give them something. So in that way, you know, we don't need to be alone. Why? Krishna is providing, you know, good company. Why not? So and at the other side, you know, we have to have our own daily practice, which makes us spiritually strong, so that we have our own principles, what we want to do and not do, like that. So I would say, you know, if we want to survive like that, we should chant 16 rounds a day, and simply keep this principle no matter what. And in that way, we'll keep ourselves inside, you know, our own Krishna consciousness. In that way, we can talk with everybody, and you know, we can navigate in this world without being scared of you know, getting into bad company. Because we are with Krishna, when we are doing this, you know, sadhana of chanting 16 rounds every day like that, then, you know, we have that connection. In that way, we can navigate. And yeah, parents and friends who are close but not favorable. Yeah, of course, if they're very unfavorable, then I would advise, yeah, just keep a little distance, of course, because they may, especially when we are new to the movement, they may, what do you call this? What's the opposite of inspire? To be disinspired? Is that the word? Yeah, they may take away our inspiration, especially if they're poisonous. What do you call this? Yeah, is that the right word? Poisonous? I mean,
toxic.
Toxic. Yeah. If they're toxic. Because if they're toxic, then you know, yeah. If they, and then Marianne says, but if they drink coffee, smoke, etc., then we get cravings. Or I get what you. I'm seeing what you're saying there now. Yeah. So say I'm hanging around with some old friends. They're drinking coffee, smoking, and then we also did that before. And now, you know, we feel like doing it. Yeah. So better than, you know, just find some other friends. Yeah, it would be better. Of course. Or if you can be strong and politely, just tell them, you know, I'm sorry, I don't take that. I mean, personally, when I came to Krishna consciousness, I was hanging around with people who used to, you know, some intoxicant, but I didn't do myself because I was never into that, and they respected that. They never, you know, tried to, you know, talk me into, you know, using any kind of intoxicants. They didn't. I was just drinking water and, you know, soft, what do you call this, bubble water? Yeah. So I had a good time. There was no problem. Yeah. Yeah. If they criticize the movement and the devotees, yeah, this is like a red flag. So then, you know, if somebody becomes really toxic, starts criticizing the movement and that, like that, then you just, you know, sorry, I have to go, you know, I have an appointment. That's okay. Then you can just leave. Or, you know, if you're strong, you know, you can try and have a discussion with them and try and counteract, you know, their arguments.
And just tolerate.
Yeah, I mean, if you're able. But it said that if you don't leave, if you cannot counteract their arguments and they just keep on talking and criticizing, then you may actually lose your inspiration altogether to be, you know, doing your practice. So then it's better maybe just to leave, actually. Yeah, you say, I felt it took away a lot of my sukriti. Okay, yeah. Okay, so hi to Human in the chat box in YouTube. Nice to see you, Human. So, yeah, if you have something to contribute, just get busy on the keyboard. Yep. What? Oh, what was the question? And I felt it took away a lot of my sukriti. Yeah. Yeah, okay, so any further questions?
I just got confused with the comment about the human in the chat box.
Oh, sorry. There was a person who has the name Human. And he just said hi. Yeah, that was very funny, actually.
I don't know where you want to go in this direction, Amogha-drikk, if you want to chastise or if you want to open up the doors, that Krishna consciousness can be transcendental, but what is favorable, you know?
Well, it's up to you, really. It's really up to you. I mean, Prabhupada, for one, he was, you know, a little bit quite heavy sometimes. He was actually chastising.
But he would also give super blessings, you know.
He would do, you know. I mean, it depends on what kind of person you are. Personally, I don't like to make enemies. Or I mean, I'm not saying that anybody else is doing, but I'm not like kind of a war person. I don't like it. But I mean, sometimes you have to call a spade and take the argument, of course. I mean, it's according to your mood also. If you feel okay, then you can, if you feel you have the power to do it, you can get into a heavy discussion. Why not? If it's a healthy discussion, then one will not do ad hominem attacks. One will just, attack the argument. It sometimes actually I've done that, have a good heavy discussion, and I feel afterwards much more spiritually strong. Actually, it's like a good fight. Say for example you're training in the gym, and or you're training martial arts, and then finally you have a fight or a tournament or whatever, and then you feel like it was good because you could actually test out your power. So in the same way, if you study the books, we're learning this philosophy, and then sometimes it's good to actually have a good discussion.
Yes.
To test our philosophical strength, or even our philosophical convictions, our power of Krishna consciousness actually. Okay, so now we have a question from Human. I came across your channel for the first time. What is it about? Okay, I'll just say it very quickly. It's about Hare Krishna. I will not try to bridge preach. I just call it a spade.
Maybe you can relieve me, Amogha-drikk,
yeah.
And we can chat later.
Yeah, so it's about Hare Krishna and its philosophy, I write. What did you say, Christopher?
Oh, just if I may be pardoned.
Yeah. But
we chat later.
Yeah, we chat later, definitely. Thank you so much for helping starting this up. See you later, Prabhu. Yeah.
God bless. Hare Krishna.
God bless. Okay. Yes, okay, so do you have any more questions or topics?
I just wrote, so what is actually Prayojana, how it looks like?
Yeah, Prayojana, it looks like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. See a picture of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu?
Okay, that's very high level, no?
Yeah, so you see the specific thing about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's the personification of Prayojana, because he's glowing, you see? He's like golden. He's like molten gold, Tapta Kanchana. Huh?
The literal meaning is glowing.
Yeah, Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi. So he has the glow of Srimad Radharani. Actually, we're celebrating Radhastami now on Sunday. She is famous for having, the color of the molten gold, the gold which has been melted because it's so hot. Yeah. So in the same way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he took on the mood of Radharani, and then that's why he also was looking like that, golden in his, complexion. So sometimes we say, fired up. Yeah. He was on fire, So in that way he melted everybody's heart. Not necessarily. Just imagine, sometimes we may feel like ourselves, then we're in a state of flow. Then, we feel also that, we're kind of, having connection. It's said, for the neophyte devotees, we get it maybe sometimes in glimpses, this kind of state, but then it goes away again. This is natural. It's described by Rupa Goswami. It's called abhasa. It's like a shadow or a reflection of the real thing. And then gradually, as one becomes more and more, you can say, steady and advanced, putting in more and more years of practice and dedication, then this steady will appear more often and more steady, until one, you see, the thing explained technically, one will not be in this state forever until the Chit Shakti has taken over one's Atma completely, like the spiritual energy. Yeah, so in that way it's true. It's a high level and it's rare. Yeah.
I have a question. So in the beginning, I got a lot of these glimpses.
Yeah.
And then it's like connected to the previous question. So I went back home after the first few months of ecstasy and nectar, and then after I came back from home and that association, I feel like I lost all of it. I don't know if it's because of the association or something else.
Yeah. I remember the same thing. I talked with other devotees. It's very similar experiences everybody had, because when you're new to this, you're getting a lot of freebies, so to speak. People are giving you kind of love bombing you or whatever you call it. You feel lifted up by the others actually, right? Because it's like being born, again. Yeah. But after some time, we need also to do something. We cannot just get everything for free. It's exactly, I mean, in my opinion, it's exactly like a baby. The baby, or child in the family is always, pampered. Getting everything is no requirements on the parents for the baby. It's like, just do whatever you want, we give you love unconditionally, right? But then when the child is growing up, then sooner or later the child has to go to school, have to learn to follow some rules, and then, it becomes, not so ecstatic, right? But actually that.
I don't know, because I feel like I lost it. I don't know if I can get back there.
Yeah, but after some time, we will understand how it works, because we are supposed to be like the parents ourselves. You can say spiritual parents, and then we should help the new people, the new spiritual you can say babies, and give them the unconditional love. That's actually how it works. So it's like the parents. Where do they get their ecstasy from? They get it from helping others. It's turn around. In the beginning, we get our ecstasy because we're just receiving so much love. But later on, we will be more mature. We will actually get the love. We will get our happiness from giving love to others. That's the idea. Does it make sense?
So I just have to serve others.
Yeah. So it's like the ego. It's changing. Identification gradually as being. You can say. Yeah, one gets a new enjoyment for the ego. Yeah, it's called param drishtva, like a higher taste, and then. One would even think, that when I was new, I was just, you can say, I didn't have so much, knowledge. Actually, one will think like that. But then, as one gets more, spiritual realizations, one will think, actually, now this is the actual bliss. Yeah, one will actually think like that gradually. Yeah.
So I was thinking something the other day about the senses. Like when we are here in the material world, we're trying to please our senses.
Yeah.
And then we hear from the devotees, etc., that we can only be truly happy if we please Krishna.
Yeah.
So I was just thinking, how did we forgot to actually please Krishna, and then we turn around to please our own senses, which is frustrating actually.
Well,
how can we?
I wouldn't put it like that we forgot to please Krishna. I wouldn't say it like that. At least not. This is not my opinion. I mean, there are different, there are different meanings about this. As far as I'm concerned, we're learning now how to please Krishna. We're learning it now. It's not like we forgot something. It's actually new.
Is it new?
Yeah.
No, I mean, because we were eternally with him, but then we, I don't know, fell down.
Well, I don't believe in this, to be honest. So
what happened?
Well, nothing happened. We were just learning now. That's all,
No, but weren't we always in the spiritual world? But then
no,
we developed.
I can say, for one thing, we're always Tatastha Shakti. This is what is explained in the Shastra. Tatastha Shakti means we're the Jiva energy. The Jiva is always it has the possibility to get under the material energy, but it also has the possibility to go under the spiritual energy. That's the meaning of Jiva. Otherwise, Atma is always, just spiritual. But since we are Jiva, that means, there's a chance of conditioning right there. So, but by practicing spiritual life and getting, the Bhava from the Guru about, the love for Krishna is gotten by the Guru. And then when we take that into our system, then we become, absorbed with that. And then we can, go to the spiritual, realm instead of being in the material realm. Yeah, so no need to think about any back history or what did I do, 1 billion years ago. It's not needed, really.
But aren't we eternally with Krishna?
Well, you are. As long as you say Krishna's name, you are with Krishna. This is the absolute platform. Oh, we got a question from Human here. Sorry, I'll just since he's our only person here in the chat. So Human is saying, I believe self-discipline comes from the desire to get better at something. Practice makes everything work. I'm not disciplined because of sickness, but I still work at least a little. Ah, super. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, that was good. Thanks for that. So I agree about that. Yeah.
So how can we please Krishna?
How we can please Krishna? Well,
I mean, yeah.
We can please Krishna by chanting his whole name.
But then we're supposed to feel happy by pleasing Krishna, but then we chant and we don't feel anything.
What did you say?
Like, we are supposed to chant and be happy. So we say, okay, we should not try to please the senses because anyway it's frustrating. But then we still have the tendency, because this is what we know. But then if we try to chant or whatever, then it's we're not happy.
Well, if you have the feeling that you're chanting and you're not happy, yeah. So, well, you see, the idea is, I mean, you see, this is a slogan, right? Chant and be happy, right?
Yeah.
You know what it is? It is like, say for example, you have another slogan. It's from Nike. It says, "Just do it," right? Just do it. Is that a slogan?
Yeah.
That's also a slogan. You know what it is? It's in imperative. Like in the grammar, it's imperative. It means it says you should do this, right? It's like an order. You understand? So when if you hear the slogans, chant and be happy, it says you chant now and you be happy. It's like an order to us that we should take ourselves together and be happy, because the happiness is there. We can be happy if we want. You understand what I'm saying? So it's not like, I'm chanting and the happiness is not coming by itself. No, of course it's not coming by itself. It's like, we should be happy. We should work hard now to be happy while we're chanting. You understand what I'm saying? we should produce that happiness now, by chanting. It's not like it's supposed to come from another place. We should be happy with chanting.
How do we produce it then?
What?
How do we produce it?
Well, then it comes to our lifestyle, and how we behave with others. If we don't have, 10 curses hanging over our head because we blaspheme somebody else. If we have been dealing nicely with our other people, taking care of our health, taking care of our mind, then we are kind of happy always, right? It's mode of goodness basically. So if I can translate it, it's like be working from the platform of mode of goodness and then chant. Then in the mode of goodness you're naturally happy, right? So then you can chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Does it make sense? But if I'm tamasic, like very drowsy and negative and like that, even if I chant, I have difficulty to be happy. Does it make sense? But if I try really much to shape my life, to do the right things, to take myself, serious, take others serious, then I will evolve as a human being, and then spiritually also I will be more apt to be happy. So it's not just some kind of gift that comes from above that we do nothing and it's just like, not necessarily, because we can cloud over. It's said by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, we can cloud over the holy name by our ego and by our mind. So even we can chant for so long and we cannot get actually happiness out of the whole name because we're too much in the lower modes of nature. Yeah. So it's kind of it's a twofold thing. Of course, the mantra in itself is very powerful. So if we keep on chanting, then that in itself is an endeavor in the mode of goodness, right? So in that way, if you just keep on chanting for a prolonged time, we may feel bad in the beginning, but because it said an endeavor in the mode of goodness. If you're already not in the goodness, then it feels like poison. That's from Bhagavad Gita. Yatat agre vishameva parinama rita upama. But the end result is that it feels like nectar. Tatsukam satvikam proktam atma buddhi prashada jam. Because we have the intelligence, we know that this is the right thing to do, so we just keep on doing it. And then in the end, after chanting for 2, 3, 4 hours, then suddenly we feel like completely happy. Because we actually, we used so many hours now just for this, and that was completely, spiritual activity. So in that way it actually works. But what I'm saying is that if you don't feel happy in the beginning, that means probably that we didn't live so sattvic. If we live sattvic lifestyle, then we will feel happy even in the beginning. Yep. Yeah, so basically it said that the devotee is always happy, advanced devotee. It never actually becomes depressed. Yeah, that's one of the.
Far from that.
That's one of, you can say, the effects, by effects of practicing bhakti yoga. Yeah. I mean, spiritually happy. So it means that materially, nothing is perfect. There may be ups and downs material, but inside, the soul is still actually happy and can cope with everything. Yeah. But another thing which is important is that actually we get we learn from the guru, and we can see what the guru is doing and kind of tap into the happiness of the guru by serving the guru. That's another important principle here. It said that if one serves the guru, pleases the guru by one's sincerity, then the guru will be happy to bestow his or her blessings on the disciple. And then we can get freebie from the guru, you can say. Suddenly we will feel happy without actually doing it. No, you can say anything, because the guru was just blessing us. Yep. But of course that means we also did nice work, of course, because we tried to please the guru. So in that in itself is of course a great deal of goodness in the work. So the conclusion is that chant and be happy, that means we are supposed to do both of them. We're supposed to chant and we're also supposed to be happy. Yeah, so actually now it's 8 o'clock, so I think I'll round off because I'm a little bit sick also today. But if you have another question in the end, we can also take that. Or otherwise, we can wait until next Tuesday.
Oh, I have a question.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so like I was just thinking again, reflecting like why sometimes the words of other people influence us so much. Like if somebody says you are this or you are that. I don't remember if I already asked this, but like how come sometimes the words get so much inside of us and then they kind of change our idea of identity.
Well, that means, it's explained, I know, that when we're on the Kanishta-adhikari, then we call Kona Shraddha. Our faith is very weak. It's like we meet somebody from another group, they have some other philosophy, we listen to that, then we become swayed over to their camp. We can join another camp any day. But when you become a Madhyamadhikari, you have studied the scriptures more, then you will not be so easily swayed. You will have more steady intelligence. So whatever people say, it will not sway our mind, right? And if one is a Uttamadhikari, then nothing can penetrate, our mind, because we have realization also on top of that. So it means we should study the scripture more. Actually, this is actually what Rupa Goswami says. It's all about studying the scriptures properly under a spiritual master and understanding the tattva, the philosophy deeply, and realizing that. Then we will not, be so much swayed by what other people are saying. We will have control of our emotions because of higher intelligence.
Study more. No, but it's mostly about self-esteem, I guess. And
yeah, you see, self-esteem is another thing that can be, usually it's rooted in the childhood and stuff like that. It can be built up also by having, spiritual knowledge. One can have esteem in the higher self. If one gets, that the higher realization, especially by contact with the Guru, one can also, enhance one's self-esteem to the level of the Guru, actually. And then nothing can break one's esteem also.
How is... I didn't understand.
What?
With the Guru. I didn't understand. So what happens?
Well, it's mystical. It's actually said it's mystical. It's not material. The transmission is coming from the Guru to the disciple, by spiritual transportation. Yeah. I mean, after all, this is a spiritual process.
Yeah, because sometimes it feels like, okay, I hear so much information and then, going to classes and reading and whatever, but sometimes I think it just stays in the intellectual level. And
yeah,
then
very often it does.
To do with it.
But, still it's better than, other stuff. But, so the idea is that, this is kind of what we digest, and it all's connected with Krishna. So in that way it's good. And then, we actually get a real realization when we please the devotees. One can't really escape that fact. That mere jnana, mere knowledge, which is not pleasing the devotees, is at the end, it's called shuksha jnana, dry knowledge. It will not suffice to give us spiritual realizations and internal happiness. I mean, we have so many examples of great pandits, great scholars in the books. They knew Sanskrit in and out, thousands of slokas, but still they were unhappy and not really realized.
But how?
Yeah.
But how can we, this knowledge become, realized?
Well, it's said, by pleasing the Guru. I mean, it's a nice story, like Sankaracharya. He had a few disciples. Some of his disciples were really, really learned. They knew Sanskrit in and out. He knew so much of the philosophy like that. And there was another disciple who was more simple. He just liked to do a lot of seva. He was washing the pots, very humble, always bowing down, and very sweet, loving devotee, but not that much, like a racer in the Shastra and Sanskrit like that. But he was very nice. And then, one day they said, Sankaracharya said, okay, so today I gotta go, but as my stand-in, it will be this guy. I don't remember what his name was. So this Dasa, my disciple, he will give the class now. And the other were astonished because they were much more knowledgeable, in the scriptures and philosophy than this guy. This person was more like a simple person. But then when they accepted, and then when this person, this Dasa, simple-hearted but very, loving and devoted, when he gave the class, then his realization blew everybody's socks off. It was amazing what kind of realizations he could come with without citing, so many references from the scriptures like that, but it's just his actual realizations. So the meaning of this story is that, if we serve the Guru, and actually become dear to the Guru like that, we will get some divya gyan. It's a transcendental knowledge. And that's actually said is the secret of bhakti, actually. It's actually the secret of bhakti lies in pleasing the spiritual master. It goes beyond, all this knowledge, actually. But it's also the part of knowledge, because the books also says that this is what we should do, right? It also says we should please the spiritual master. And then it talks about all kinds of other knowledge also. Yeah. Yeah, it's okay? Yeah.
I mean, I could go on forever, but you need to go.
Yeah. I mean, if you can send them more questions, and everybody who used this video, please help us and give us more topics and questions. You can give answers also for our next Tuesday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we'll stop there. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.